You want to know why you lose your mind when someone confronts you. Here's the truth. That person yelling at you isn't the problem. They never were. They're just showing you the parts of yourself you've been running from since childhood, and you hate them for it. Look, everybody wants to know the secret to staying calm. How do I keep my composure when my boss is being unreasonable, when my spouse is attacking me, when that idiot cuts me off in traffic? But Jung would tell you you're asking the wrong question entirely. The question isn't how to stay calm. The question is, why does this particular person saying these particular words make you want to tear your hair out? Jung discovered something most people can't stomach. Every confrontation is a gift wrapped in barbed wire. Yes, it hurts. Yes, you want to run away or punch someone. But here's what's really happening. Your shadow, that dark twin you've been running from since childhood, has just been spotted in broad daylight. And you're terrified. You know what people do when they're confronted? They puff up like peacocks. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm good, you're bad, I'm rational, you're crazy. Meanwhile, their blood pressure is through the roof. Their hands are shaking and they can't think straight. Calm? They wouldn't recognize calm if it sat down and had tea with them. Jung insisted you cannot, and I mean cannot, achieve genuine calm by suppressing your rage, by counting to 10, by taking deep breaths. That's like trying to stop a volcano by putting a lid on it. Absurd! The pressure just builds until you explode anyway, probably at some poor innocent bystander who had nothing to do with anything. Think about it. Your co-worker who takes credit for your ideas. Why does that specific betrayal make your blood boil? Jung would say it's because buried deep in your psyche is your own disowned ambition, your own hunger for recognition, that you've labeled as ugly or selfish. So when someone else displays it openly, you want to destroy them for it. Or take road rage. Someone cuts you off and suddenly you're ready for war. But Jung noticed something fascinating. The people who react most violently to selfish drivers are often the ones who secretly fear their own selfishness. They've spent so much energy being good and considerate that when someone breaks the rules they've imprisoned themselves with, they lose their minds. Jung called this projection, and it's happening every single time you get triggered. The things that make you see red, those are your shadow's calling cards. That neighbor who's too loud, maybe they're living with a freedom you won't allow yourself. That friend who's irresponsible with money, perhaps they trust life in a way that terrifies you. Everything that irritates us about others, Jung wrote, can lead us to an understanding of ourselves, but instead of using confrontations as mirrors, what do? We polish our armor. We prepare better arguments. We rehearse devastating comebacks in the shower. Anything to avoid looking at what's really going on. Here's what Jung understood that changes everything. In every heated confrontation, you're not really fighting another person. You're fighting an aspect of yourself that you've rejected, denied, buried so deep you don't even remember it exists. The other person, they're just an actor you've unconsciously hired to play the role of your disowned self. Picture this: a father screaming at his teenage son for being lazy. But Jung would ask, what laziness lives in the father that he cannot tolerate? Maybe he's exhausted from decades of overwork. Maybe he secretly dreams of doing nothing, of resting, of being lazy himself. But he can't, so he attacks it in his son instead, or the wife who explodes when her husband forgets their anniversary. Jung would look deeper. What has she forgotten about herself? What parts of her own life has she neglected while focusing on everyone else? The fury isn't really about the forgotten date. It's about the self she's forgotten. This is why Jung believed that staying calm isn't about control. It's about consciousness. The moment someone triggers you, that's your unconscious sending up a flare. Hey, pay attention. There's something here you need to see about yourself. But we don't want to see it. So we do what humans have always done. We project our darkness onto others and then attack it there. It's so much easier to fight someone else's selfishness than to admit our own. So much simpler to rage against another's arrogance than to acknowledge the arrogant one living inside us. Jung discovered that people who truly understand this can't stay angry for long. Not because they're suppressing anything, but because they're too busy being fascinated. How interesting, they think, that this person's behavior is showing me something I've hidden from myself. The confrontation becomes a treasure hunt instead of a war. The next time someone gets in your face, Jung would want you to ask yourself, what is this person showing me about myself that I don't want to see? Not out loud. They'll think you've lost it. But internally, privately, turn the mirror around. Because here's the ultimate truth Jung uncovered. Every person who triggers you is revealing your unfinished business. Every confrontation is your psyche trying to make you whole by showing you the missing pieces. The question is, will you keep shooting the messenger, or will you finally read the message? Jung put it this way: everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. But only if we have the courage to look. Only if we can stop pointing fingers long enough to notice that 3 fingers are pointing back at us. The real calm, the kind that comes from genuine understanding rather than white-knuckled control, arrives the moment you realize you're not really fighting them. You never were. You've been fighting yourself all along. And once you see that, really see it, the war ends. Not because you've won, but because you finally understand there was never anyone else on the battlefield.